Oh, what a pleasant surprise we just got as Colts fans. We just heard Anthony Richardson speak for the first time since the end of what was a very challenging season for him, and kind of in turn, and due to that, a tumultuous season for the Indianapolis Colts. He did an interview on a podcast called Built for More. Did you happen to see that? My guess is that if you find yourself in my tiny little corner of the internet, you likely have seen that interview. But if you have not, I'll tell you, if you fancy yourself a Colts fan, particularly one that's committed enough to the team to be paying attention at this dead point in the NFL offseason, you're really doing yourself a disservice by not listening to that interview. You're talking about an hour-long conversation, or I guess it was an hour. I don't know how long it was. I mean, it just flew by. I mean, really refreshing. A long forum, in-depth conversation with a guy that we hope is our franchise quarterback outside of the normal setting that you hear, which would be, media availability, press conference, sort of after a game or during the week of preparation, kind of asking about stuff that's directly relevant to that week and that moment, right? This, on the other hand, far more of a conversation about who he is as a human, his story up to this point, and really not something that they dive all that deep into the stories and headlines that happened in this past year surrounding him and the Indianapolis Colts. I do think they slightly allude to those things if you listen carefully enough to what it is that they ask at certain points and how it is that he answers. But ultimately, I think they were trying to kind of provide a safe space for Anthony Richardson and give him a little bit of a break, right? From talking about that type of thing. And I've brought this element up before, this idea up before, and I'll bring it up again because I feel like it's a great opportunity to do it. So often as fans, do we remove the human element of the conversation when it comes to the players that play for our team? And listen, I'm not sitting here and saying that you have to just fawn over how good of a dude some player is or the work that he's doing off the field, whether it be just philanthropy or something he's doing in the community. I mean, after all, that's really not what they're paid to do. Like the check rather, that Jim Irsay signs doesn't have all that much to do with that. Like, these guys are paid to play football. And as far as we as fans are concerned, that's the primary source of their value. Like, we like the Colts. They play for the Colts. We want the Colts to win. We expect them to contribute to that cause. And anything outside of that, I mean, is really not all that much of our concern. Like, that's the value proposition that we have, and it's a fair one. Being a good guy doesn't really have all that much to do with kind of what it is that is expected between the relationship of a player and a fan. Just, we're kind of focused on the field of play, whether or not they produce, and that's it. And again, that's fair. With that said, if we acknowledge that to be true, it would mean that on some level, as fans, we do have to at least be a little careful once we speak about a guy's character, because now we're going a little outside of that dynamic, right? Now we're getting a little personal with a guy. And there's been so much talk about the fact that Anthony Richardson did not put in the appropriate amount of work this past season. And of course, that's fair conversation because that pertains to the game of football, okay? But whether it was talking heads on national television, conversations on First Take, ESPN, or perhaps even reports and statements from members of the media that we consider to be our own, there has been sort of an assassination on his character a little bit. And as fans, it's super easy for us to take those things from people we consider reputable and run with them and lean into that negativity a little bit. And of course, we're going to wonder about who he is as a person. But at the same time, we heard all of those things. And to some degree, perhaps we forgot a little bit who we felt he was when we saw and heard him speak with our very own eyes and ears. And if there's anything that we are to take away from this interview, I would say this. Remove all the noise that we heard this season, okay? These questions that we have about his character, about who Anthony Richardson is as a person, where his heart is, what his intentions are, how he views his responsibility to the city of Indianapolis, to the organization. I think we need to agree as fans, those things need to stop here. We need to stop that, okay? It does not mean that he's going to end up a good quarterback. Like, we could remain critical about his play, okay? But if you ask me, I'm just not going to question his character anymore. after this. Like to hear him speak about his faith, who he wants to be, the love and respect he has for his mom, and why that is, and just speak in a way that, quite frankly, I can look up to. And I'm someone that's older than Anthony Richardson, but at 22 years of age, I mean, this guy on some level, maybe wise beyond his years is the wrong term, but I mean, he just has a real good head on his shoulders. And this is a genuinely good dude. And it just reminded me and assured me that we can trust, if nothing else, that Anthony Richardson, his heart is in the right place. He's going to give his all to make sure that he goes out and gives the best version of himself going into this next season. Now, whether or not the best version of Anthony Richardson is enough to become a high level NFL quarterback, we're not going to know the answer of that until we know the answer of that. But in the meantime, particularly at this time of the year where he can't even come out and defend himself on the field of play, okay? Let's be supportive. Let's have a little bit of grace. I mean, you have to keep in mind, this is a guy. How many years is he removed from high school? Okay? From high school. Think about you at 22 years old. He is an NFL quarterback. He is one of 32 people on planet Earth that has that job. There are very few professions that scarce and that demanding, okay? He just had a kid and he has the pressure, even if he doesn't want to admit that he feels that pressure, and he may not, but the fact remains. The Colts are an organization that, in large part, when you talk about any prestige that we have, has been built upon the quarterback position, okay? This guy has some pretty big shoes to fill, and he's just taking on a lot at once. That's certainly not an excuse to not come out and play well, but I just think as people, it's only fair that we provide a little bit of grace. After all, it's not like we don't want him to succeed. And again, we're at a time of the year where, I mean, what are we going to do? Continue to harp on him about his play? It was like 5 months ago at this point. I mean, I'm just saying, at some point, we just have to be supportive and wait until September. And I, for one, from here on out this offseason, am going to take that approach. Again, just reminded of why it is that I believed in Anthony Richardson. Now it's just up for him to kind of take that I'm a good dude and I have the good head on my shoulders. Take his character and translate it to on the field play. That's the next challenge. But quite frankly, we're all rooting for it to happen, okay? So that's kind of where I stand there. Now that we have that out of the way, we're going to do some Q&A because I'd like to answer some questions. And actually, in fact, I said I was going to answer some questions, but I think I got we have 12 questions. So I think I can handle all of those. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, you know what it is? I got to introduce myself. My name is Justin. This right here is the Behind the Bench Colts podcast. As always, I ask anyone watching and enjoying the show, go ahead, shoot a like. It's going to help me get out to as many Colts fans as humanly possible. Of course, subscribe if you want to be a part of the journey. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers over here on the YouTube channel. We want to get there by the start of next season. We're not all that close, but at the same time, the growth not doing too bad. If you keep coming back, enjoying the content, haven't hit the subscribe button, or perhaps it's your first day here and you're enjoying what it is that you're hearing, maybe you hit that button. Make sure that you don't miss any future episodes. But of course, there is no pressure to do that. I'm going to be here talking about this team for a very, very, very long time. Audio listeners, leave a five-star review. Let the people know how much you enjoy the show, but most importantly, be civil in the comments section. If you are to engage, you don't know what the person on the other side of the keyboard is going through. We want to raise the level of discussion about this team. And if people are going to share their opinions, we want them to feel relatively safe to do so. So if you disagree with someone, don't take it as an opportunity to insult them. Instead, take it as a moment to try to educate them or explain your side. Again, elevate the level of discourse. Do not let it degrade into name calling and nonsense, okay? So let's get into the Q&A, but before we do, let me take a sip of this Gatorade right here. No, Gatorade's not a sponsor, and not for anything. Even if they were, who the hell would listen? Like, who in the world, right, would say, man, I've never had a Gatorade before, but you know what? Justin at riding the bench is drinking a Gatorade. I'm going to go get one. Like, no one, right? I mean, I would provide no value to Gatorade, quite frankly. But nonetheless, to the questions. We're going to take these in order. I have no notes. I'm just going to rip them and go from there. Okay. So 1081 Airball asks, will Jelani Woods stay healthy and will he be able to step up? I mean, probably not. Like, probably not. That being said, Jelani Woods, in his rookie year, So easy to forget now, and quite frankly, fair to forget now because it is a what have you done for me lately type of league. But man, his talent was like literally, I'd be sitting on my couch watching the Indianapolis Colts, and Jelani Woods had anywhere from 15 to 20 receptions that year. I feel like I remember them all. Like it was kind of like you were watching a movie in IMAX, right? Like everything was in your face. Like I would literally just sit there on my chair and I'd be watching, or I guess my couch really. I wasn't sitting in this chair watching, but I'd be on my couch and Jelani Woods, his talent would pop off the screen to such a degree. Like I felt like he was about to pop out of my TV into my living room. I mean, that's how serious of a talent Jelani Woods looked like in his rookie year when he was on the field. That being said, absolutely nothing since. So if he were to be healthy, do I think he could step up? Yeah. But is that something to bank on if you're the Indianapolis Colts? Absolutely not. Next question from the Shoeys. What's your favorite steakhouse and why? I love this question. Now, I'm not from Indianapolis, so my insight is not going to be something that you can take with you and apply. But at the same time, I consider myself a foodie. Like one of my hobbies outside of this is I will literally drive and travel to try different places. So I would consider myself very qualified to answer this question. Now, I'm in Long Island, New York, and there's a place out here, both in Brooklyn and in Great Neck, for those of you who are from the area. Peter Luger's very, very hyped. I'm not giving anything groundbreaking, but if you're not from here, perhaps you haven't heard it. They may sell Peter Luger's steak sauce in your local grocery store. Go check that out. Just fantastic. You go in there, they bring this steak to your table. It's a really big porterhouse, all cut up, sizzling right out of the broiler, right? And you get like a slab of bacon and the Peter Luger's. Point in question, the best steakhouse I've ever been to, easily. Peter Luger's. That being said, Ruth Chris kind of a close number two, and I know they have Ruth Chris in Indianapolis. So there you go. That would be it. But for me, if you're talking about a great steak, number one, you got to get medium rare. Okay. If you don't get medium rare on a steak, not for anything, I would not trust you with anything that I would consider to be near and dear to my heart. Okay. Medium rare is the way to go with all beef, not just steak, burgers as well. Okay. You want a medium rare steak and you want the steak to do the work. Any great steak, really all you need is salt, pepper, maybe a little butter, garlic as the base, right? But you don't want this thing like, you just want the steak to do the work. That's my take on a great steak. Next, because this is a cult show, not a steak show. That being said, man, would be cool. Would you maybe a future idea? Would you guys enjoy me trying food? Like, is that content that you would like? I went to training camp last year, and I have all of these recordings of like me trying. I think I tried Skyline chili. I tried there's this barbecue place in Grand Park, kind of by training camp. I tried that. I tried a couple of places. I tried Shapiro's in downtown by Lucas Oil Stadium, had the pastrami sandwich. And I kind of have like this footage of me trying these different places, and I was going to release it, and just I don't know how to make a vlog, so I didn't. But maybe if enough of you guys listen to this and say, you know what, Justin, we'd like to see that, maybe I'll put it out. But neither here nor there. Back to Colts content from Timothy Gerbig 875. I think I just butchered that. Sorry, buddy. What percentage of his passes would Anthony Richardson have to complete to show that he may be the long-term solution? I know that stat isn't everything, but 47% doesn't just get the job done. Thanks, Timothy. You're welcome. And great point that you bring up, because the completion percentage is something that so often is spoken about. That being said, you are hard pressed to find a quarterback that we value at a high level that does not complete 60+% of his passes. Like, it's just the name of the game. And think about that in practice. I mean, if you're watching a game, if a guy went 4 for 10 or 5 for 10 over the course of a stretch, like, was he doing very well? No. You want a guy to go 6 of 10, 7 of 10, and kind of be in that range. Now, of course, there is the reality that, not every completion percentage is built the same. The play to play still matters. But if you ask me, my style of quarterback is going to complete 60+% of his passes. And that's kind of my baseline. That's what I feel it takes based off of my watching to consistently move an offense. It was something that the Colts had an issue with last year. They were able to get explosive plays. And when Anthony Richardson flashed, he flashed. It's not that he provided nothing to the offense, but too often did we watch this offense stall because he just had these really long stretches where he'd be like 2 of 10, 3 of 10. You can't have it. We need 60+% from Anthony Richardson. That's the number that we're going to look at. Doesn't have to be right away. Even if he gets to 55 to 57 this year, as long as we trend up, that's where we want to be. From Ryan, 78,900. How many total points will the Colts score this year and allow? Got no fucking clue, buddy. Sorry, but hopefully they score more than they allow, right? Because that would mean they win a few games. Speakers, 17. How do you deal with ignorant and pessimistic Colts fans? Parentheses, there's a lot. Listen, man, I just sit here and talk. That's how I deal with them. I try to give them the truth. Okay. And I try to always take this as an opportunity to educate or at least give a well balanced perspective to anyone who's listening. Hopefully, they hear it enough times and we can slowly convert them to being a little more rational. But at the same time, you're not going to win everyone over. So, how do I deal with them? The question is, I just do what I do. Jacob Steb, 9718. Again, I'm really bad with names, like just not good at pronouncing names. What should our expectations as fans be this season? Oh, good question. Well, I would say we wouldn't expect the Super Bowl, right? I think that's probably safe to say. Now, what do I always say around here? I haven't said it in a while. I say disappointment is rooted in expectations, meaning that if you expect something that is unlikely to happen and then get disappointed about it, the only reason you're disappointed is because you expected it and not for anything. When we set ourselves up for disappointment, it's really not a great place to be. So our expectations as fans for this season, in my opinion, should be a playoff berth. That being said, I mean, you look at the roster and where it is right now. At this point, if Anthony Richardson could come out and give this team above average quarterback play, there's no excuse that this team would not be in the playoffs, barring injury, barring catastrophe. Alex Smith, this is the type of name I like. This is the type of name that I could pronounce. Alex Smith, 3459. Something tells me this QB competition thing isn't as one-sided as people say it is. What do you think? Well, I agree, for starters. Like, what if both Anthony Richardson and Jones do exceptionally well? Well, Alex Smith, I'll tell you, that would be a good position to be in, right? Like, that's a good problem to have. If both guys are good, right now, we're not sure if either of them are good, right? So that's the dilemma we find ourselves in right now. So if both of these guys come out and are absolutely lighting it up, I say, good spot. Like, we don't have any problem with that as well. So what if they both are exceptionally good? Well, the Colts should do pretty well. The Colts should make the playoffs. Hopefully, Anthony Richardson just a little bit better, right? But at the same time, may the best man win. Gross. Gooner Colt 764. Gooner Colt? Gooner Colt? Come on, brother. Good grief. Am I wrong for wanting Ballard to be Ballard and move up a few spots to draft right tackle Membu and then draft Jason Taylor's tight end son Mason Taylor in the second round? Maybe the best line in football that way with Membu at right guard and then right tackle of the future. Well, there's a couple things, a couple moving parts in this question right here. Number one, are you wrong for that? I mean, you're not wrong for wanting what it is that you want, but at the same time, Ballard being Ballard certainly doesn't involve him trading up. We only see him trade back, particularly in the first round. He's never traded up in the first round. He's only traded back. So would you be opposed to a right tackle then at 14? You have to think right now we have Braden Smith, who has kind of been eluded by Shane Steichen. If you guys listen to him, there's kind of like a media availability. I think it was probably at the pro day circuit where he's just in this crowd of people talking. From him and Chris Ballard, what we've heard, I think we can expect Braden Smith to at least be around. Whether or not he finishes the whole season, I don't know. But Matt Gonsalves, right guard. Braden Smith, right tackle. Trading up to get a right tackle when you seemingly have that set up this year, I don't know. But I don't know. And if you were to draft him and put him at right guard, wouldn't you want him to stay there? Like, why move him around so much? So are you wrong for wanting that? No. Do I necessarily agree with the idea? No. Naptown Sports Junkie says, how many wins do you see for the Colts next season? 9 to 11. Simple answer for me. I expect the Colts to be a winning football team and get into the playoffs next year. Obviously, very early to know this, but this is where I'm at. Mike, Muma, U8J. Do you think the Colts will trade Anthony Richardson? I've seen some people saying they should. You know what, man? I certainly hope not. I had seen some ideas of trades to the Pittsburgh Steelers or and really, I think just the Pittsburgh Steelers. But at this point, man, his value is as low as it can possibly be. Like, I don't think anyone's clamoring to trade for Anthony Richardson, and it would feel a little premature to not let him play out his rookie contract. So I don't think the Colts would trade him, but would I be stunned? I would be stunned. But do I give it a more than 1% chance that the Colts trade Anthony Richardson this offseason? Yeah, I guess more than a 1% chance, but certainly not more than a 5% chance. I don't want them to do it. I don't think they will do it. Colin Nasty, bring back Ryan Grigson as GM or have prime Levon Brazil catching passes from Anthony Richardson as our wide receiver one. Good grief. I will take death. Okay? I'll take death over both of those two options. I don't know. That's a tough spot to be. That's a funny question. Gosh, that's tough. I'd have to go with Ryan Grigson as GM. I take no pride in that at all. Okay. Final question. Pounds 2020. Should we have moved off Ballard after the 2022 season? In my opinion, yes. He's been on borrowed time ever since. I'll tell you what, Pounds 2020. If there was ever a time to do it, that would have been the time. I'm a Ballard apologist through and through. I think oftentimes the story of Chris Ballard as the general manager of the Colts is kind of misrepresented. And there is an element of that 2020 season where I look back and I say, okay, Matt Ryan turned out to be a lemon. He absolutely stunk. I mean, he was really, really bad for the Indianapolis Colts that year. And I believe that was also the year where, did they have Matt Pryor at left tackle that year? Was that all at once? If it was, very, very tough spot. But at the same time, all of us as fans were excited about bringing Matt Ryan in at whole, broad stroke. There's going to be a couple of you guys that say, I didn't want Matt Ryan. But as a general rule of thumb, most of us were excited about Matt Ryan. So there is some part of me that takes exception to the fact that if we're excited about Matt Ryan, we can't then come around and condemn the decision when we agreed with it at the time. But that being said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So should we have moved off of him after the 2022 season? I would say there's a fair case to be made if you're the type of person that doesn't want Chris Ballard here. That's the best year to have done it, and that's what it is. But that was the Q&A, and that was the episode. My name is Justin. This right here was the Ryan the Bench Colts podcast, and as always, go Colts.